It's 6 o'clock and it's comic book review time. Thank you all very much for stopping by today. This is Jason, dear woke Christian. Most of you know that I like a lot of different types of media. And one of those things I've been talking about this week is the fact that I really kind of like comic books, man. I used to be a pretty big comic book fan. And maybe one day I'll pull out my long boxes and we'll talk about comic books. But I do realize that most of you come to Dear Woke Christian not for comic book reviews, or comic book conversations. So I totally respect that, and I think that's fair. So I want to stay on brand, as some people like to say. What I did today, though, is I want to do a special episode with a brother that I met here in these YouTube streets, and I want to talk about what Mythological is doing over on his channel because he's a good Christian brother who wants to discuss some of these topics like comic books and movies and such like that, popular culture from a Christian perspective. And a lot of the times those don't really fit for me. So I said, hey, you know what? I think it would be great for us to collaborate because we both have an interest in a particular comic book. So today, what I'm going to do is bring good old Mythological in the building. How are you doing, young man?
I'm good, Jason. Good to be on with you to have this discussion.
I love it. I love it. So Um, take a second, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about you before we jump into the comic book review.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian. My channel is called Mythologic, and I came across Jason's channel, and I think we had a lot in common in terms of our perspectives and a lot of things that he covers. Um, and also, I found his channel through the woke preacher clips, and I would often see Jason in the comments, and we like I said, we just have a similar perspective in in our desire to confront what we see as something that's challenging Christian theology, and it's being embraced by a lot of churches as we see on woke preacher clips, and we just want to analyze it and and just confront it in a Christian way, so that our brothers and sisters in Christ um, are being biblically sound.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And both um, Brian and myself found ourselves commenting on a video of Eric July's about his most recent comic book project. And I think from there, I was like, hey, I know he's a sub. Hey, let's talk about this. And I think from there, we went down the rabbit hole. We both ordered our books. And I'll put up on the screen. I have the comic cam. So here's a particular comic in question that we're going to be talking about on today. There's a reason why it actually fits. It does fit into what I discuss here on this channel, as well as what Brian discusses on his channel. And I think it would be good for us to look at it as Christians and see if there's anything that we can glean from it that is beneficial long term. So that is why we're going to be doing this. I'm gonna put the comic cam back for a second, just slightly, so we can finish up this conversation. So, did you want to tell us a little bit about Eric before we jumped into the book, or do you want to talk about it on the back end?
I guess we should talk about it beforehand to kind of lay the ground for the uninitiated.
Your screen froze up a little bit. Here's my little background right there.
Okay, I'm back.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so we both came across Eric's channel, and I what was it, the comic book angle that why you discovered this channel, or was it something else?
Um, I followed him. I started following him initially because he was such an outspoken voice for his political views and his conservatism. Then he started discussing something I had not really started. I didn't notice, which was just how bad comic books had gotten. So from there, that's kind of how I really got hooked up with and laced up with Eric July and his projects, was just the fact that he was an outspoken voice. He didn't seem to have any problem sharing his view, any problem allowing his voice to be heard. But even more than that, I thought he was pretty authentic. I thought the guy, hey, like him or love him, I feel like he definitely is telling you exactly who he is, what he thinks, and how he feels, which I think is which is good. So that's how I found Eric. What about yourself?
Yeah, so I had dropped out for a second. I heard you saying that basically he speaks his mind and doesn't go back.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back, but also I felt like his viewpoints as relates to like comics and movies and pop culture were fairly easygoing and fair dealing, if you will.
Mhm.
So that was what really stood out to me. Like, oh, okay, I can dig that. I like how he approached that. So that was, I guess, how I was initiated or introduced to Mr. Young Rip of 59. What about yourself?
Yeah, so I think that it was the comic book commentary that how I first discovered his channel, and I think I was just because I was never really much of a comic book reader myself, but I was always into superhero content, be it yeah, well the movies, of course. I loved Batman and Superman, and I used to watch the Spider-Man cartoon in
Hmm.
the '90s, and so I always enjoyed the properties, even if I wasn't actually reading the books. I mean, I had a few uh, little comics here and there. Like, I became interested back when Sin City came out, and I became interested in the graphic novels and everything. But yeah, so, and then with like you know the Black Panther out and a lot of what was happening in the MCU, I wanted to learn more about the comic book origins. So I think that's how I discovered his channel. Because
Gotcha.
background on a lot of the characters and comic books.
I love it. Okay. Well, appreciate it, man. All
Mhm.
right. So we said, I know you've been doing a deep dive into actually who is Eric July. I mean, who is the gentleman that has put this project together? And we'll talk a little bit more succinctly about this comic book because we both, Brian and myself, have some poignant considerations about this book. But you were actually doing a little bit of looking into who he is. So you want to tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah. So um, when Jason and I were communicating through email, um, he brought up, well, you just happened to mention you like this channel and saying that it's not necessarily a Christian channel. And then I shared that I had come across one of his streams one day when he actually did profess to be a Christian,
Okay.
and yeah, it was really interesting. I sent you that clip as
Hmm.
because he's known a big part of his brand is his political commentary, is identifying as a libertarian, and he was saying that it was actually his Christian to um, his libertarian views and identification, and just he had the perspective of well, it was the government that was responsible for crucifying Jesus, and I never thought about it that way because of course we know that it was prophesied that that Jesus was going to be crucified, and that was it was all um, you know predestined to happen. But I just thought that that was an interesting perspective, and that he somebody just had to ask him one day during a stream, and he shared that. Um, so it's like his channel content is not, his faith isn't something that he leads with, but when he was questioned about it, he did profess to be a Christian. And the thing with his comic book, um, it's we know Christian friendly, as it's generated some controversy as being non woke, but
Hmm.
there's there's a happy medium between being pushing a message and just allowing entertainment to be entertainment. And so that's becoming more and more rare today, and so it's something that something to be for Christians.
I got you. I appreciate it, man. I was I remembered I didn't download the Eric talking about his faith, so I was looking for that. And also your audio is a little bit scratchy again, so
Oh,
I
it
don't know if
is.
there's something. Yeah, it's a little bit scratchy. I don't want it to keep cutting out, especially when we get into the actual review of the
Yeah.
book. And if this comes down, I might show it. So yeah, I mean, whether or not Eric is a believer, I mean, you sent me the link and I was like, oh, I didn't know this. And the link to the stream where he was discussing his faith. And I thought that was kind of cool. But I think even more than that, in this space, he doesn't, as you said, doesn't lead with it. It's Christian
Right.
friendly, if you will. I think would be probably okay. I don't know if this will play properly. Let's see. We're going to see if we can get it to play properly. That'd be dope. But I think at the end of the day, I think what's very encouraging.
We have Ofe with a 10.
Can you hear that?
Says,
Can
much
you hear that?
respect,
Yeah.
love your content.
Yeah.
You are never afraid to discuss your views with others and others. I would love to know more about your spiritual beliefs and how it impacts your life work. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, everybody obviously knows I'm a Christian. That's the last song on Backwards album, and that's what we talk about. You know, it more so it influenced me more so in a way that, believe it or not, it was kind of what led me to be a libertarian. In addition to the economic rabbit hole that I went down, but also understanding like more of the story of Jesus, and you know, there was the state that killed him. You know, and you know, looking at it like, okay, remember when you know you had the devil and you had, you know, Jesus looking over this mountain, and he's like basically the devil was like all of these kingdoms, like they're mine, essentially. You know what I mean? And I used to do a lot of like libertarian, like anarchist work, like definitely on my old Facebook videos. I did a video because he thought the Romans, you know, people statists love to point to that to say, oh, this is the Bible justifying listening to your government. And I'm like, you couldn't be anything further from the truth when you actually read the thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, it was actually a lot of that led me to kind of the libertarian stuff. But I used to do a lot of material back in like mid 2010s. I used to do a lot of material talking about that, like the Bible, and there's a big hardcore like libertarian anarchist community, man, and those guys were awesome. So yeah, there's the influence.
So, okay. And I appreciate his telling where he is. As always, I want to dig into that a little bit more. I would love to dig into it with Eric and talk to him about it and see where he is and how he's growing and developing. What is his spiritual trajectory? But I totally take it. So, you want to get into this book, my friend?
Okay. Yes. Let me see. All right. So, where do you want to start? Just
All right,
overall.
so let's go ahead and do this. That's what I'll do. If you haven't seen Isom #1, this is the actual comic. I have this is cover A. This is the first one. I think Brian has cover B. And
Yeah.
there's a cover.
Well, I got the cover A as well. This sister went ahead and got the cover B, and yeah. So she wasn't really into comic books either. She went to support when I told her about it, and I see her there in the chat. So shout out to her and the Wholehearted Christian and the Biblical Christian. I see all of them in the chat.
Oh, appreciate y'all. So
Yeah.
I guess I would start out. How about this one? Because we said we were going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will.
Mhm.
I'll just talk about the physical book because if you're not a big comic book person or not familiar with, or if you are a comic book person, this is probably one of the best produced comics that I've ever picked up, and definitely in quite some time. I'm sure there's probably others that have been similar, but the quality of this book is outstanding. And I told you, Brian, I was going to bring the Death of Superman in and show and compare because that was not of this quality.
Oh, okay.
That when I didn't bring it, I had to go get it. But maybe I'll do another show. But the
Yeah.
quality, the actual physical book itself is outstanding. It's
Mhm.
about 90 pages. Is that what they said? It's about 90 pages. Some
Well, he
serious,
said 96, but I mean the
yeah.
page is numbered as you're going through it. So I mean I
Can
don't
I
know for
read the
sure.
numbers? Yeah.
I didn't see it the
Uh-uh.
numbers printed on there.
I didn't either. But from the pages to the cover to the artwork, they are outstanding. So
Mhm.
coming out the box and the physical aspect, it's outstanding. It comes in a protective cover as well as a sheet. If you're a comic book person, you appreciate the slip covers and the cardboard. So Eric didn't hold any of that back. It's outstanding. I thought but what were you gonna say, my friend?
Oh no, yeah, I mean I think the same thing. And we each did unboxings on our channels. So
Yep.
you can see the whole packaging and process of unboxing. And I know that was a big one of the points going into it is that he for years, I mean, he started out just sharing his his thoughts on comics, and it became more critical than the point of saying just gonna do it myself. So he had criticism about the quality, so he made that an emphasis, made quality an emphasis when starting his own comic book company.
I agree. And I mean, the box coming in, if you see the
Hmm.
unboxing, it's literally a box. It literally came in
Yeah,
a box with his company logo on it emblazed on it. And matter of fact, I have it right here.
yeah, yeah. I got mine too.
Yeah, like that's a whole thing. Like, I mean, it was a really well put together package. So when you get this at your doorstep, you're not saying, "Oh man, it was just somebody threw it in a UPS envelope and whatnot,
Right.
and who knows what happened to it." No, they did a good job of the presentation. So if we just want to start out talking about the physical aspect of it, I think the presentation was outstanding. This is a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic box. It's very creative, by the way. I don't think I've ever had a comic book delivered to my house. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I don't think so. So, I mean, just the way that was packaged was very creative. So I don't know if this is common for. I'm sure people get comic books delivered to their house often. I don't know if this is common. This is just a comic book mailer. I don't know, but he definitely. If you're not a comic book fan or whatnot, and you don't get comic books on a regular basis, this would have surprised you and really won you over because I think this was excellent. As I throw that over there, since I don't have my stage producer here today, she's she's doing homework or something. More than likely
Yeah.
not doing homework. But all right, so yeah, that's the physical book. I think Eric did an outstanding job. His company did a great job of presenting to you a product that would stand out as a something that definitely like, yeah, this wasn't cheaply done, and for the price that they charged, I feel like, oh, okay, this was worth it. Okay.
Right.
So, all right, so that is the physical book. That's the physical book. Talked about the cover, the back, great imagery on the back. Most comics don't have a picture on the back. Just letting you know
Yeah.
that. Most of them have a commercial or an ad or something going on the
Hmm.
back. No, this one has a great imagery right there. All right. You want to talk about the good, the bad, and ugly?
Okay. And also to your point about the delivery of the comic, I think, well, for one, being that he's built his audience over the internet. You've got people spread all over, and then with the state of the comic book industry, a lot of people might not even have a local comic book shop. So I guess he didn't want to depend on the retailers
Yeah.
and just deliver direct to consumer. So it's a convenience if you do. I mean, because I mean, both of the covers we have, they sold out
Hmm.
online. So the only place you can get them now is from a retailer. So yeah,
But there is
I mean
cover
that's
C still, right? I don't even know what cover
right.
C looks like. I don't even know
Yeah,
what the third cover
it
looks
has
like.
Isom running from the alpha on the cover C.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Um, pull it up and look real quick. Continue. Oh, yeah, I don't have this one. But
Yeah, I like the illustration there on the cover C. I mean, of course, you can't see Isom's face. That's the only drawback of the cover C. But you see some action there involving the alpha core, so it's cool. And he said that it's bound different. That it's called perfect bound, whereas our book are uh, square bound, or they're like stitched
yeah,
into the spine. So this is a little better quality in that respect. But I like the illustration on the cover C as well.
I mean, I think he did a great job either way. So this is the
Hmm.
cover C. The one that I have here is cover A.
Hmm.
Brian has cover A as well as cover B, as
Yeah.
in Bravo. And this is something that comic book retailers do, comic book publishers do. They might make special covers and such like that. And so this is, of course, I think even when Brian reached out to me, he was like, "Hey, did you get your order in?" And Brian sent me
Right.
his order number. I'm like, "Dude, what time did you get? When did you order this, man? Like,
Yeah.
your order was like in the 3 digits. Mine was in the fives. Like, man, I felt offended. Felt some kind of way about that thing. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Let's get into it. And anybody that's ever wondered about my infamous notebook, guess what? I'm using my notebook here. So you can actually see these are my notes. I actually write my little cryptic notes, those jokes y'all put out by my book. Here it is right here. All right. So we were going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Is that right?
Hmm.
Okay. And real quick, there will be no spoilers in this talk, because I know quite a few people who have not gotten their books yet, quite a few people who are still waiting to read theirs. I see someone just said they're going to read theirs tomorrow. Our goal is just to give you an overall, a 30,000-foot view of the magazine and our overall opinion on whether or not it's worth you investing your time and resources in. So we're not going to give any spoilers. We're not going to ruin anything in that regard. All right. You want to start from the good or the bad or the ugly? Which one do you want to go?
Um. Well, I guess I like to end on a positive note. So maybe
Okay.
start with the criticism.
All right.
And I don't know
So
what the difference will be from bad or the ugly.
I think ugly. Well, so like my ugly with this would be, I just was wondering, like this is a 95 page, 96 page book. Most comic books are about 36. So it's basically, this is about 3 comics worth of material in my hand right here. And I was only
Mhm.
wondering, like, okay, when is the next one going to come out? Is it going to come out before Christmas? Are we going to be looking at, a springtime release? I don't know how it goes about it. So I guess the only ugly thing I had to say was just that I was a little bit worried about, well, when's the next one going to come out? Is it going to be will there be a drop in interest because it takes a long time to
Mhm.
come out, which I don't know. And I'm hoping they're able to, they don't have to crank them out every month, but I would hope they can crank them out on a regular basis. So that was my only ugly thing about it.
Okay. And what do you think would be the ideal frequency of release?
Depending on cost, because this one was pricey. If
Hmm.
okay, if this is what we're getting every time, or a book of this level, then I'm good with every 2 months, maybe even every 3.
Okay.
So, but if it's gonna start coming out like normal comic books, you know, and I'm saying normal comic books because normal comic books are a lot more, they're not as durable. Like this is like, you hit somebody with this, they're gonna feel it. So so they're a little bit more flimsy, the paper's a little different quality, so on and so forth. So I don't know if Eric is gonna do that. So if he does go that way, then can we get them every month?
Hmm. Oh.
Now, so I like the once a month comic. Most people get their comic books once a month, or every
Mhm.
six weeks or so, something like that. So now, again, this kind of quality, give it to me. I'll just take it every 3 months, every 2 months is fine. If you're going to go to the normal comic book approach, can we get that once a month? That would be my frequency. What about you?
Yeah, so I think that um, every 3 months. Now, of course, I wasn't a comic book collector coming into this. I just like what he stands for, and I was interested in hearing what his criticisms were about the comic book industry. I can you can extract from that what he values about comic books. So, um, I like, and I, going by the trailer and, the previews that we got of the character and the story, I was interested in, I think that every 3 months, so 4 books a year, I think that would be, you know, I would definitely be satisfied with that. And I mean, because I definitely wanted to support, the initial outing. I don't know, how much I'm going to continue, um, you know, uh, investing going forward. So I think that if it was like a monthly thing, that would probably be, um, a bit of a discouragement as far as trying to keep up, because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be, putting down, the $35 every month.
Right.
So I think that there's when you're prioritizing quality, um, the the quantity can take a back seat to that. So I mean, I would definitely be good with uh, three, every 3 months, or even every 4 months or so. But I know they said he was, the last I heard, he was at least 40 pages done into the Isom number 2, and he says that it's better than Isom number 1. So
Okay.
it's looking good for. Well, this was released, I guess,
This
towards
was
the end of September.
toward the end of September. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I totally agree with you. I would hate to see like a dip in enthusiasm because of
Right.
the time between them. On the same note, I would hate to see a dip in the quality because you put
Right.
them out every week. I mean,
Yeah.
but because keep in mind, most of us comic book nerdy people are used to going to a comic book store
Every
once a month,
Wednesday.
every
Okay.
Wednesday, or I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're getting like I would get all of mine delivered, and I would go once a month to pick up like
Mhm.
literally 20 comics, and I would
Yeah.
just binge on comics all weekend and into the next week, and then I'll be mad like, oh, I ain't got nothing else to read, and then it would come
Yeah.
again, do the same thing.
You had a
So
pull list?
yeah, I used to do the whole
Okay.
nine. So
Yeah.
um, so most of them are used to that kind of frequency, and that's the
Mhm.
only thing. But again, I think the quality sells itself. So if you told me, yeah, this is gonna be 6 times a year, like,
Mhm.
okay, well, I probably can get down with that. I mean,
Yeah.
because again, what we got here was, I think, was definitely an established comic book company quality.
Mhm.
Like again, I'm really mad at myself I didn't bring Death of Superman, because again, like I'm like that wasn't of this quality, or
Yeah.
the Death of Peter Parker, or I have quite a few. The original Civil War, um, the original Civil War comics are nothing like this. So again, Eric already
Yeah.
threw down the gauntlet. So if he said, it's going to be 6 times a year, I don't think many of us would be upset about it. I think just
Right.
knowing, like, hey, this is when it's going to be, that would be it. So that would be my, again, that'd be the only ugly thing, is just nuancing. How do you figure out when is this going to come out? When's the next one coming? Because I got to get my
Right.
hit. That'd be my only thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and as far as, well, with the quality, a lot of times he would hold up, the latest Captain America floppy, and he'd show like how thin the pages are, and
Yeah.
saying how like the cover is the same material as the interiors, and then like
Hmm.
you can just kind of hear. Let's see if you can hear.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Sure can.
Yeah, so it's a lot more sturdy and thick, and I actually just posted a short earlier today, with my niece, who just turned 3, um, you know, letting her see the book, and with her, with the way she was turning pages, if it was a regular comic
Woo.
book, it probably would have torn,
Easily, yeah.
So it makes it, I think, more appealing to younger ages as well, where you can feel confident that the quality is gonna be toddler proof,
I like
And
it.
when I posted a short, he actually gave it a like on Twitter earlier.
Oh man, come on. What about me? I want a like from Eric. And you know what I'm also gonna say? I think is really interesting. And this goes to the good. Because I didn't think about it. I didn't have it on my list of good. So now I'm gonna just jump ahead to my good. All right. I use beard oil. And so I hate to say it, but a
Mm.
lot of the time my hands are greasy. My hands, they're greasy. This
Yeah.
magazine, I don't know what it's made out of, but none of the grease, none of my beard
Yeah.
oil has affected the cover of this book. And I mean, like my hands, the same thing. If you have oily hands or whatnot, this book is
Yeah.
gonna last. I mean, like literally, you can wipe this thing off and keep it
Yeah.
moving. I'm looking at it. Even fingerprints don't even show that well. So again, oh no, there's a fingerprint. I do want to give him credit. I want to make sure I give him mad props that the quality of this book is. I think if I were in a comic book store and I saw this, I would definitely be interested in picking it up and thumbing through the pages. The quality, the conversation, whatnot looks good. I would probably pick this up on site without even, if it were in my local comic book store and I were picking up my usual pickups, this would probably jump out to me just from the way it looks and the quality of it. Because again, this is if you go to like your Barnes and Noble, you look at your graphic novels, this is like a high quality anime quality book, whereas it's
Mhm.
not your usual comic book. And maybe again, we might do another episode. I'd go pull up Death of Superman, which I'm embarrassed how
Mhm.
bad that one quality was.
Wow.
Oh, all right, you want to talk about the bad?
Okay. Um, you want me to go first? Or you go?
Yeah, you go ahead and knock it out. Get started.
Okay. All right. So let me see something here. All right. So I'm gonna try to see if I can share my screen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Proceed.
this will be the first time that I've tried this. Okay. Let me know if it's working or not.
I do not see it.
Okay.
While
Um,
you're doing that, I'll go over my bads.
okay.
So bad. I thought that hey, that's me. That's a lot of me's. Okay, there we go.
So you can see.
Yep, I can see it perfectly.
All right. Yes, and so this isn't a major spoiler thing, but so for the bad, it you know, and like I said, I don't have a ton of familiarity with the comic books, but I studied film and screenwriting, and so one of the big keys to screenwriting is, with dialogue, giving each character a unique voice, and kind of coloring the characters even on the page, and you're getting a sense of the uniqueness of each character just based on the way that they talk, and so if there's a criticism that I have is that I think that there's this like a diverse cast of characters, but I think
Mhm.
that there could have been more variation in their dialogue, and everything. So I mean, with this character, and I don't even know this character's name. He was just there very briefly, but
Yep, in the beginning.
looks like an older guy, and they're out in the country, and but he's using kind of slang dialogue that you would expect from younger people in the urban environments, because right here he's saying brother man, and then um the, this other panel he was saying fam, you know
Okay,
instead of
good
family.
catch.
So
Yeah, good catch.
yeah, I was like, well, it'd be, I think, more believable if he had some old like southern slang or whatever.
Hey, leave us Southerners alone.
But no, it's that's a good thing. I want to see that unique southern country twang. And then
I
like
see.
his sister, she has a corporate job and everything, and I mean, she's talking to her brother here, so you expect it to be a little more casual, but um it that's so that's the criticism that I have there.
Okay.
Just the dialogue could have been more idiosyncratic, so to speak.
No, I think that's a good catch, man. Excellent. So those are on your bads?
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
Okay.
That's yeah. That was the only thing that stood out to me, I guess, as a criticism.
Okay. So I felt like the only bads I would say is that I felt like the story moved slow. I felt like it was just kind of trudging along a little bit slow. Um, I felt like it was moving rather slow. I also said I couldn't imagine this being, as I said before, this is 90 something pages. So
Hmm.
this would be, at least three comic books, traditional comic books worth of content. I can't imagine this being broken into three
Right.
sections. I couldn't tell like where would be the cliffhanger, where would be the ending point or whatever like that for the next, stay tuned. So I thought
Hmm.
that was a little bit. I couldn't imagine this going like this right here. If Eric says this is going to be the normal format of a 90 plus page magazine, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I would be
Hmm.
perfectly fine with that because
Yeah.
I feel like the shorter, I just felt like it was moving slow. And
Hmm.
if I had to stop each month for that, I feel like it would have been tough. Um, Next,
Yeah, I think he
oh,
has that he's not he doesn't have any plan or desire to make the shorter book. So I think that was the plan going into this one and going forward to keep it around the 90 to
oh, okay,
96 or so pages. Yeah.
then that's fine. Then I'm fine with if it's 96 pages and it comes out every, like I said, every 2 months or every 3 months, whatever like that. I'm perfectly fine with that because I feel like again, it's again the choppiness that usually happens in established comic books and stuff like that. I don't know if this one
Mhm.
would fare well. And
Mhm.
then I said, there were a lot of moments where I was like, I have no idea what's going on. There's some
Okay.
moments I was like, I have no idea what's happening here. And what I mean by that is he's doing a lot of world building. So if you go pick up a
Yeah.
Spider-Man comic today, you already, just because of who it is, if you pick up a Spider-Man, a Superman, a Batman comic, you already know probably a large bit of the story without, even if you just picked it up out of the blue. So
Mhm.
I understand he's doing some world building, if you will. He's establishing some characters and such like that, and giving us he gave us a lot of characters, and there's a lot of backstory that you don't get. So you're literally dropped, on page 50, not even 50, maybe page 300 of 1,000 page book. So there's a lot of stuff behind you, and there's a lot of stuff in front of you. So I feel like there's some moments I'm like, what in the world is happening? So I had to read it a couple times. But that was just an observation. Again, is this world building? So I can't be mad at them because there's a lot of things that you have to establish in order to get people to come to the next one.
Right.
If it was too single dimensional or two dimensional, people wouldn't come back. So I understand
Right.
what he had to do in order
Yeah.
to because there's a lot of, I mean, from Alpha. I mean, I think when we were talking on the phone, I think we talked about there's like 12, 13 different characters easily in this
Mhm.
book. And each one of them comes with a whole litany of what in the world are they doing in the story or why are they a part of the story. So
Mhm.
and then lastly, I think my other bad was just that I was just wondering what will the future look like for the Rippaverse. And that's, you kind of answered this already with your own research about when there'll be more magazines will be delivered out and such so forth. So that was just my only bads.
Okay.
All right, we can talk about the good things. We're gonna end on a good note. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
You want to start?
Um
Brian ready? Like, yeah, I want to talk about good stuff.
okay, yeah.
Here's
So
some notes.
I'll I'll share my screen again. Let me see.
Man, you're getting proficient at this thing, man. You are a pro. We're gonna have you a live stream ninja next week, boy. Have you ready to go?
Yeah, so um all right. So let me see. Okay. All right. So you see that
Hmm.
on the screen?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, one of the things that was like a pleasant surprise was the humor in the comic. And and so we said we weren't going to spoil, but I just had to share some quick clips here. This was funny when I was this Yaira holding up Isom, and he says, look, you've got the wrong guy, and y'all holding me up in the air like I'm some rag doll, So and then This was this is another funny clip in there, and these are siblings, some little sibling humor there between Isom and his sister Altona. And anybody who's been in the hospital, you know how
Yeah,
those
the
gowns
robes.
go.
Yeah, the
um,
hospital robes.
and yeah, so this was another funny scene where Isom was talking to his ranching business partner, and
Hmm.
he was complaining about the run-in with Yaira, and then the guy jokes, "Well, did you at least get her number?" So that was funny as well. And then something else. I mean, I like just the whole ground level superhero feel. Um, I think that those, well, there's an appeal to the flying around superheroes. There's also an appeal to just that ground level, um, the city is character type of environment. And we usually with this superhero settings, they're in the big busy metropolitan areas. So it was cool to see a rural setting. I guess you get a little bit of that in Superman's upbringing in
Hmm.
Smallville, but after that, you don't get much. So I like this scene where um, the ranching business partner is talking to one of the helpers, and they're just talking about the country life and how there's when you're used to the city life, you can lose sight of nature and just the logistics of the things that we take for granted, like the just going to the grocery store and things like that. You don't even think about how you get a lot of your goods. And so they were just having that conversation as they're out there on the ranch. And yeah, I like stuff like that when characters, you kind of take a break from whatever the mission of the story is, and you get characters that just take a moment to kind of reflect on life. And yeah, so I found that I enjoyed that scene.
I like it. Okay. Um, was that all your goods?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'll let you go.
Okay. So I felt like again, the presentation of this magazine was top shelf. I think they went
Mhm.
above and beyond to present you a product, whatever's inside. You when you pull this out, you're like, wow, this is not your typical. I just bought this over at the newsstand comic book or graphic novel. So I felt like the presentation was good. I felt the writing was good. And
Mhm.
you made several notes to conversations and dialogues and such like that. I feel
Mhm.
like they didn't go above and beyond to try to say, well, this is a black
Right.
character or anything of that nature. They just left. I mean, it's clear and obvious that he's a black character, duh. But
Right.
they don't lead with that. They're not leading with
Right.
a whole bunch of um, ethnic bona fides or any of that nature. They're just
Mhm.
like you don't know if any character in here what their proclivities are, what their political views are, any of that nature. Is like this is what we usually talk about. This is how people
Mhm.
usually engage with one another. Um, and I did feel like it was engaged. I felt like the story was engaging. I am interested, even with the whole bunch of the what in the world's going on. I did feel like, okay, you got me interested. So I'm kind of like vested. So I do want to
Mhm.
find out like what's going on with this character or why is this person doing these things that they're doing? That doesn't even make sense. Aren't they supposed to be a superhero? Aren't they supposed to be a good guy or a good a hero? Like what's going on? So he got me engaged in that regard. Hence why I want to see another one, why I want another one, so I can kind of get some of these questions answered.
Mhm.
So that would be my that would be it as it relates to that. My story is engaging. I felt like the quality was good. And of course it's presented fantastic. I think hands
Mhm.
down, the presentation will and if this were in every comic book store, I think he would see some pretty interesting, just man, that's a great looking book type of
Yeah.
purchases. So that would be my little 2 cents.
Yeah, and some shared postings of the comic book retailers that did order copies that, so reportedly they've been selling out,
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that, something like this is going to stand out when, you know, a lot of the comic books you're getting less than a third of the content, and
Yeah.
then, I guess less than a third of the quality as well. So and then also these are, limited items that you can only get there. So it's it makes sense, the enthusiasm, and then also uh with the backlash that it's received, that makes people who are unaware, that makes people curious, why is
Hmm.
this so polarizing? And you touched on uh well, with the writing being good, and I agree, because as I pointed out about the dialogue, that's just one aspect of the writing, but the beyond that, the storytelling aspect of the writing was really well done, and the development of the story, and I kind of expected that for it to take its time, because this is what's introducing us to these characters and this whole world. So it's I think that's by design, and then as it moves forward, it'll be um just more action, and you know um more conflict, and it's good because there's less of a need for development and introduction.
Facts. And yeah, there's I think some of the controversy though, if we want to talk about some of the controversy that Eric July received, was really a lot of like, is he going to be able to pull this off? Is he going to
Hmm.
really be able to do this? And so I think hands down, he pulled it off. Like he did do this. Whether you like every aspect of the comic or whether or not the pacing is perfect, no, I can go get you, like I said, I can go get you a ton of comics that have terrible pacing and they're established brands. I can get you,
Hmm.
I mean, so they're household names and they're horrible. So
Yeah.
let's keep it in perspective. This is a a young man that
Hmm.
literally decided he had had enough of it and washed his hands of it and decided he can I can do better than this. The people
Hmm.
deserve better than what they're getting. And he did it. Again,
Yeah.
let's put that back in perspective. Okay, fine. Some of the pacing, and I even said it, the pacing was kind of weird. And I said, like, there was some, what in the world's going on type of moments. But let's put it back in perspective. This dude pulled off a outstanding product. I can't front on that. I can't front on that at all. Because I know
Yeah.
good and well Jason couldn't have done it. So I'm not going to get beside myself and say like, oh,
Right.
I could have done better. No, I wouldn't have, and I couldn't
Hmm.
have. So let's just keep it back. So keep it 100. So a lot of the pushback was that they didn't believe it was going to actually happen, and then when it actually happened, they had to eat that crow, and like, oh, not only did he get it done, even with PayPal did some gangster move on them and took quite a bit of their monies coming in. PayPal's
Right.
literally heisted them, for lack of a better term, and they
Yeah.
still got the book in your hands. Let's put that thing in
Right.
perspective. So and so
Yeah.
that
Over
would
a
be my
million
only.
dollars. Over a
Yeah, it took
million
it.
dollars they kept
It
from. I think he just recently they released the money to him.
yeah, but I mean, like he had some setbacks, but he kept it transparent, which was
Hmm.
part of his core values, to be transparent and to give good value. I believe it was. I forgot off the top of my head, but he did that thing. So I want to give him props for nothing else. Like, man, wait, you were able to put this thing in people's hands like this. I'm sorry. Every
Yeah.
detractor, when you put out your comic book and you have a 93 page, 95 page uh, volume of this quality, holla at your boy. But
Right.
until then, like let's just be honest. He did it. Give him his props.
Hmm.
And again, I all things being considered, even the bad things I talked about, even the things I thought, little worrying issues are nothing when I think about this is your first run at this. This is your first product mass produced in the hands of countless people, even people with greasy beard oil hands, and the joint's still standing up and
Yeah.
3-year-old nieces are handling it. Like, come on, man, let's get that guy. Give that guy his shine. Just go on and eat that crow. Put a little bit of
Right.
barbecue sauce on it, a little hot sauce, whatever. Eat that crow, and we'll see you in Isom too.
Yeah. Um, so I know you have your weekly wrap up coming up with that at 7. So what time are you planning
Oh,
on in the ending the stream?
we can get ready to wrap it up now. I do my weekly wrap up on Sunday nights after I come back from
Oh, okay.
evening service. But no, Isom has I've already got my notes for my weekly wrap up. So Isom will get a little shout out in there. Since I'm doing
Okay.
a Bible giveaway in a couple weeks. So I got to go over
Mhm.
that as well. Because man, I got a lot of people that have
Yeah.
registered for the Bible giveaway. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping I get some more Bibles to give away. Start looking under my
Yeah, I
car
see
seats or something.
my sister, Psalm 51:10 is in the
Oh,
chat.
hey,
She actually had just got an NASB Bible in the mail. I was like, oh, Dear Boy Christian is having a giveaway.
there you go.
she
See,
she could probably saved a little money. Got in on that raffle.
I love it. I love it. But well, hey man, what else as we get ready to wrap it up? Thank you all so much for checking out our comic book review. This is our first time doing this and
Mhm.
having a guest talking about something that's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but it's something of interest to me. I appreciate the comments in the chat. Lots of people saying that they too are interested in this. So hopefully we'll do this again. And
Yeah.
now, Brian, do you have anything fun coming up or anything exciting you want to talk about that's going to be on your channel?
Yeah. So I had recently, I think towards the end of September, it was 2 years since I had posted my first video. So I
Nice.
was planning on doing, something, around that time just to, well, I've done it, a couple of times so far, just kind of reflecting on what I've done. Well, with more so looking forward as far as my plans with the channel. But last time I did one of those videos, I laid out, a whole plan of different topics I wanted to touch on, and I didn't really follow through. So I think, I'll do another video as far as, what I plan on doing going forward, but I'll probably, be more general instead of, trying to tie myself to getting videos out on specific topics. But, definitely going to just continue to bring a Christian and biblical perspective to whatever topic that I address, and so I'll be addressing like different spiritual matters and um, faith matters that we come across in the mainstream media, as well as um, I think I'm going to start um, doing kind of movie reviews or movie analysis and everything. And just recently, there was um, there's an animation movie that's in the works about King David as a young
Oh
shepherd
man.
boy and everything. And
Oh man.
have you seen that? The,
No, I can only
the
imagine though.
yeah, they recently did a live stream and they had the pastor on. I believe his name is Nick Vujicic, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but they were just talking about the power of storytelling and how, as far in comparison to other forms of communication, we can speak directly and communicate, um, a truth, that'll be present in someone's conscious. But when you tell a story, you can communicate a truth that penetrates the heart, and
Hmm.
that's one of so they were talking about that, and their passion, for bringing this biblical story to the big screen. And that I think that really just summarized um, the power of storytelling and why I'm drawn to it. And so and also, with this Rippaverse campaign, um, one of the artists, Gabe Altaib, that's responsible for the coloring, he and Eric have spoken about, it's the power of storytelling and using your gifts and Gabe was saying how he grew up in a Christian household, and that they weren't allowed to watch a lot of movies and secular content. But
Mhm.
he's saying that he thinks that was a mistake, of Christians and conservatives saying like, oh, this is all satanic. Let's have nothing to do with the movies or the mainstream music. But he's saying that that's a mistake because once we withdraw from that, now we don't have any influence in the that aspect of the culture and entertainment. So he's saying that it's good for us to to be involved in all aspects of culture and entertainment, because as Eric often says, politics and a lot of the other issues, they're downstream from culture. So you can
Right.
have the best ideas, you can have the truth. We know that we have the truth in the word of God, but if we're not engaging in these other areas, then we don't necessarily have a captive audience. We don't have the ears or attention of people who aren't necessarily seeking God right now, but maybe they're interested in comics or movies. So if we can penetrate those spaces, we can bring the truth of God's word with us.
I like it. So so basically you're gonna be doing a Wakanda Forever review. Is that about right? Is that coming out in
I,
November?
yeah, 11/11/22. That's
Oh,
their date
oh
and
man.
marketing thing. So we'll see. I think I'll definitely um I think I'll talk about it leading up to it, and just kind of like with this, we're analyzing something secular
Hmm.
and bringing it in perspective. I think maybe and I love the first Black Panther, um, you know, but I think that with this, looking forward, I'll just kind of maybe do a preview of like, you know, should Christians you know, go out and support this, and should they, or should we proceed with caution? I guess that's the way I'll word it, and just with consideration of all that's gone on with Disney, just in the it's only been 4 years since the first Black Panther film was released, but a lot has happened with Disney since then,
Yeah, they have.
um, and with this project in particular. So maybe I'll do a video exploring that and how Christians should proceed when it comes to Disney and with this Black Panther 2 film in particular.
I like it. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for taking the time this evening to jump on. I want to thank everybody who did stop by this evening. Check out the live stream. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you all for going and check out Brian's channel as well. I think I had the link. I think I just changed it. I had the link in here. It is right here. So please make sure you check out Mythologic. I know that is
Oh, my
that is a
bad.
big that is a big old
There you
boondoggle right there. I get that fixed. But check out Mythologic. No matter what, check out Mythologic on YouTube and see what he's doing over there. Let him know that we appreciate what he's doing. And Brian, thank you, man. This was a lot of
uh,
fun, man. We're gonna do
yeah,
this
thank
again.
you. Yeah, my
No problem, man.
pleasure.
We're gonna do it. Uh, I agree with you, Brandon X. I think Isom is gonna get better. It's only gonna get better. So I appreciate you, brother. Hey, let's get ready to bug out, and we'll do it again real soon. Okay. I'll
All
see you
right.
at ISOM. We'll do it again. Every time Eric comes out with one, we already know we got a dance card. You already on my dance card. Whenever
Yeah,
Eric
sounds
comes out
good.
with one, we'll do that. How's that?
Sounds good.
All
Yeah, I
right.
like
Hey,
it.
everybody, take care. Everyone, grace and peace. Take care.
All right.